Welcome, everybody, to Valance League. I'm Stanley Greyhard-Barker, and I'm joined for the first time in far too long by Daniel Cradden-Connolly.
The names are still the same. It's been a heaven full of nostalgia as well. I've really missed this pairing. Let's see if we can remind all of you who haven't watched us why we are so sought after. It's going to be a great night of VL. It's a best of 3 series, and we're in Division 2A, because having one division per tier in Valance League was so 2020.
We don't really want to talk about one division, no spoilers for anybody out there. So instead, let's talk a little bit about some of the teams we've got in front of us. A few familiar names, but none more so than the support that I am seeing on the blue side of the rift. Is that Rob Quee Cooper, I spy?
Rob Quee Cooper. He's been on the casting desk. He's even tried to make his own breakaway league in War Rivals. He's jumped around several teams. But finally, he's returned in many ways home on OP Nerds. To be honest, Dormin and Navor, they were ADC and support for so long. They were one of the best duos. It takes a special talent like Quee to break them up, and I think that's what we've got here.
Looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. Meanwhile, speaking of things that I recognise, instantly are recognising the name Yelnats up there, I believe, in the top lane. The pure reason I recognise that is because I'm used to seeing Stanley written backwards.
We take those. I think that was from Holes as well, if you've read or seen that one.
That's right, yep.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see a pair of running shoes hit him on the head at some point in tonight's game. So, top lane for him. Dormin moving up to the jungle. Navor moving from support to his ADC position. We've seen Grievous play mid before, but we've also seen Monzi have a go. And Quee's the only player that I don't really associate with the long-standing OP Nerds.
Well, moving over to the other side where we see this Esports Wales Water team, we've got Clarky Josh in the top lane. We've got Ace, I'm Just Harry, Zendia, and Zephyr, who are rounding out the teams. We've already had the bands rounded out. Cradden, we see the Blanc, Lucian, and Sejuani taken away from blue side, as the red bands are going to be Urgot, Seraphine, and Pantheon, leading to a first pick Karma. Obviously has a huge amount of flex potential.
Yeah, let's have a quick look at that. So the Pantheon and the Seraphine bands seem very targeted. Grievous has a 9-game, 67% win rate in solo queue, and Quee seems to be the Seraphine King, or the Seraphine Queen, both Quee and Navor having played that champion a lot. Urgot is almost the one trick of Yelnats on OPN, with 93 games out of about 120 being played on that champion. So really easy bans from a target ban perspective being made by Esports Wales.
Something we do not see very often happening over on the red side of the rift. Their first lock-in is going to be the Vayne.
Yeah, massive. It conjures memories of Double Lift, and I like the Braum as well. It's a bit of a thematic one. Do you go for the Enchanter to support Vayne, or do you get Braum, who can support the Vayne with CC, but can be a bit weak early on in lane? I reckon that if OPN pick the better early bot lane, they can take advantage of a few trades here.
It to me says that they have a lot of confidence in Zandia. I mean, surely you don't pick an ADC blind, a late game ADC like this blind, unless you've got a huge amount of confidence and a bit of a plan as well. Maybe we'll see things like the Orianna or the Shen coming through as a bit of a protect the ADC composition. Over on the other side, someone who's going to be looking to shut this down will be the Kindred, locked in for Dormin.
Yeah, Kindred. We're talking about late game, and Kindred's already in there, so a bit of thematic match for match. Ashe and Karma appear to be the bot lane as well, so a lot of the bot side sorted, leaving the top solo lanes up for grabs. So Ashe, Karma, they've certainly got their poke. Karma's empowered Q, Ashe's volley can certainly chunk people at the early stages before you've built up enough health and being able to pick your moments. So without jungle intervention, I would give Navor and Quee a lot of cards in their hand for the early stage. I do like that combo, Greyheart.
Looks like they're going to get that early game priority. Someone who will look to try and abuse that should they push too hard will be the Jarvan, locked in. Seeing a few champions in this game that are maybe not quite what we expect in the meta, but where these players find their comfort, that's where they often find their wins. We're going to get the next set of bans to come in as well. Galio already taken off the table by red side, which is interesting because I'd have kind of thought maybe that's the sort of champion that Esports Wales might have wanted to pair up with this Vayne.
Yeah, when you have a Vayne, you really want to set up for her. You want a lot of CC. You maybe want a semi-utility, semi-burst damage AP champion. But apart from that, you want a tank for Vayne so that she can just run into a fight, get the Night Hunter going, and get the damage. And again, with the Shen, same pattern being pointed out.
Yeah, that's kind of the exact same logic as well. I mean, to the same point, I guess you could say, right, there's going to be double ADCs over on the blue side that you want to take away from the nerds in Ashe and Kindred. And so, yeah, Shen's going to be able to bring a lot to them. But at the same time, Shen was the immediate champ that I thought to be potentially paired up with this vein. I mean, maybe it's not something Clarky Josh 14 wants to play. Maybe so, maybe not. Maybe so, maybe not. Maybe. Please talk, Cran. Save me.
Let's do it. So maybe, no, we're going to move away from that one. So Volibear, which was actually probably the only target ban that OPN have thrown out, is one of Clarky's best picks. If you look down his picks, I think Set and Sion are probably two sensible ones we could go for. We've got Oriana in there, so moderate magic damage with a really nice setup if you can gather everyone together. I'd love to see a tank who just has to get focused on, just can absolutely provide devastating CC. That's the one element I think is missing from Esports Wales composition. Whereas on the other side, they're starting to get that together with Poppy. They want to stop people getting to Ashe and Kindred. I feel with Karma, if that goes support, they'll be missing some AP damage. So they might be sending Kui onto a tankier support and using Karma as a utility mid laner.
Well, with the Swain locked in, there is still a certain amount of flexibility. We associate Swain with support more often than not these days, so I would expect to see the Karma going into mid, but that one will be confirmed as these roles locked in shortly. With the Oriana locked in, the Protect the ADC composition is coming closer to fruition over for Esports Wales. They've got one more to lock in. Let's see what they want to run into this Poppy.
Yeah, they're really hovering between the champions that Clarky knows how to play well. Cho'Gath is played 5 times in solo queue, 40% win rate, so some good experience there. Cho'Gath has the damage and, of course, the Feast allows him to become a late-game monster. This is very much a comp that comes online later on into Summoner's Rift. Jarvan can provide early ganks, is good at the level 2 cheese, but you feel as though Jarvan won't really be setting up for anything significant at that level. It will be level 1 Jarvan and Braum just getting in there, and then just a massive wait before the mid-game to late game where several of those champions can come online.
Hell of a potential wombo combo for sure. The question is, will that early game agency that you talked about going over to the blue side's team be enough? I'm not sure. What would your prediction be coming into this game, oh great Colorcaster?
Kui. It's got to be Kui. That's the technical analysis I'm going to provide to this desk. I see Kui, I predict Kui, and I'm going to get Kui into a best of 3, and that's the one for me. Big rhymes. Now, real talk, I like the early game poke. It's never really going to transition into a dominant position, just getting 1 or 2 volleys or never moves off. But Swain is exactly the kind of champion that at this sort of level, one catch out on a straight Oriana or Vayne can really set up the fight. And whereas Zypher can throw out some really nice glacial fissures, I think Kui may be able to make the difference in just catching people out. As we've said, the late game team of Esports Wales, they need to get online. I don't think they'll be able to. I think by the time that they can get into a good position, they hit their power spikes, they hit what they want to do as champions. We're already going to have Kindred at a meaningful state. Poppy peeling for Ashe. The only weakness is lack of AP damage, but they've got 2 mages who can get enough damage between them to work.
With just a couple of minutes until we're able to get onto the Rift, now is a good time to remind the folks out there in Twitch chat just how things are going with this season so far. This will be the 5th game for each of these teams. They currently both hold a 2-win, 2-loss record. They find themselves in, I believe, joint 3rd coming in to tonight's games. They have that opportunity to potentially even be 2nd at the end of the night if they're able to pick up a win here. So this is really, really crucial, as obviously it is key to be in those 2 top spots come the end of the season.
Absolutely. And of course, we've got the other game tonight on VL Stream 2. If you want to do your dual stream special that seems to occupy most Mondays and Thursdays, we've got Spitfire and Hooper bringing to you a Division 1 series between Horizon Shadow and United Poros of Runeterra, who are both big names in Split 4 of 2020. So you've got your choice. I've offered you the choice, not that you're going to take it, because this is going to be the better series by far. #casting desk. Looking at the teams tonight, we've got a couple of nice matchups. Are there any champions that you particularly are fond of, even if you don't think they're strategically good? Do you want to see their play patterns?
For me, I'm going to be looking towards this Jarvan, something I don't believe I have seen played on the Rift in competitive since the preseason items came in. So definitely will be keeping my eye on Ace. Also, you can't not look at what a Kindred is doing, and you can't not Man, that's some great English right there. You've got to keep an eye on where that first scuttle is spawning, which one is going to be the potential mark for the Kindred. You coin flip a little bit on this champion, but if you're able to get that early mark, then get off a successful gank, it's a great start for a champion like this.
Yeah, the jungle battle is going to be so close. Jarvan must make early pressure count, but with the composition he's got, it's pretty much set to counter jungling. I don't think he's going to get a successful gank off, so that'll be the way for Ace to win. And in fact, it looks like a lot of you guys out in Twitch chat are setting your stakes the Esports Wales Dua, that's water in English, way. 92% of you are going for a prediction of Dua to win this game 1. Submissions are closing in 2 minutes, and it's over to 100. That last OPN guy that was just holding out has gone, no, I've just been exposed. Everyone else is going for Wales. OPN, we're just going to leave them alone.
You know what's really happened there, don't you, Cran, is that everybody's heard your prediction and has basically just instantly gone with the opposite.
Let's hope so. That's Sun Tzu's principle of charity for you. We've got obviously everyone getting into the loading screen now. I do like generally looking at the keystones that people have gone for, and while we get ready to unpause at 10 seconds, we get to see that Kui is gone for the electrocute, so really underlining what Swain wants to do as a champion. Just get in there, fire off the abilities, get the ignite going, and just take a massive advantage in lane before anything can happen. Paired with Ashe, Navo and Kui are probably the biggest key to unlocking the early game I can think of.
Well, I just want to take a moment to say how excited I am to be here on VL, especially excited we're able to make this caster pairing work for the first time in what feels like a very, very long time, Cradden, going all the way back to when I first started casting. And you know what they say, you never forget your first. Well, that wasn't actually you. Rob Kui Cooper. We see him before. He was the first person I ever did a cast with, and not only do I get to pair with one of my favourite all-time casters in yourself, but also get to cast one of my original compadres down there as well. So it's a good time to be a Greyheart.
It's one for the record books. It's going to be 10 out of 10. And speaking of 10, are you on 10 seconds?
I am indeed.
Okay, Jordan, do your thing. Perfect.
And we get ourselves onto the Rift, getting excited to see how this game plays out. I think we're going to see the fairly standard defensive standpoint from each of these teams. Just going to spread themselves out across the Rift. No early game shenanigans.
Yeah, Braum is actually really good for the level 1, has the concussive blow stack, but doesn't really have the killer team behind him, like throwing down a Nautilus or throwing down a Sejuani. You've got a few champions that are good with their combo, but you don't get your combo at level 1. That's going to be a big problem for them. Yeah, on the other side, you've got Poke in many cases, Swain, Ashe, Karma. There's an argument to be said for using Kui's E, the Never Move, to get a catch out. But as you said, Greyheart, all along the river, just sort of moving around, just holding position and looking across the river to check for any enemy skirmishing.
And none of that's going to go down pre the 1 minute mark. We're going to see these junglers getting towards their first camp. We saw the sneaky old switch out from Jarvan, popping down a bit of vision, getting the Oracle lens on an early back. Going to still be able to get over to the red buff, where I'm pretty sure Leash will be incoming from the Cho. Kindred's going to be starting up the top side of the Rift as well. So on the back of both of these early clears, we could well see both of the junglers towards the bottom half of the Rift. And if that is going to be the Kindred mark, that could get spicy.
Completely agree with you, Greyheart. I do like seeing the junglers start at the red buff. The fact that Kindred is starting blue generally doesn't speak volumes for the clear, but it really goes against what most junglers do. Start the bottom, path towards the top, and then play top lane a bingo at 3 minutes. I was going to say tennis, but you're too familiar with that one anyway. We've got both junglers clearing the first buff, and I think we're going to see people skip the Wraiths. Jarvan may in fact be going for a level 2 gank here. Let's take a look out to see if Harry can capitalise on this.
General Group's going to have to flash instantly away from the Demacian standard, and that is going to be a crucial summon spell burn. Zephyr, meanwhile, getting pulled back by Kui early doors. I remember a little while ago there was a meme going around which basically said that we're limiting people to playing only 1 game of Swain per day on solo queue because it's just a free win whenever you play it. Let's see whether or not that translates for Kui.
Yeah, Braum notoriously weak in the early game, just in lane, not having the health to back things up, and already half of that's gone. One Never Move is so critical at this point.
Rupture connects onto Yelnats, and Stanley a bit backwards is having to get himself out of trouble, but trading back with Clarky Josh, able to get some grasp procs while he's at it.
Procs like a fox. So yeah, we're seeing a standpoint now. Kui goes up to ward. He's very conscious of a gank. There's actually nice ward coverage from the OP nerds in the bot half, and they immediately spot Ace, or rather don't, because of the sweeping lens.
Well, crucial information though, the very fact that that ward gets swept out means they know exactly where the Jarvan is. They know that it's potentially going to be a contest towards this scuttle. Now the push pressure becomes really important on the bottom side of the map as they try to get themselves prio onto a potential mark on the scuttle.
Yeah, so Kindred has the jungle camp lead slightly, just finishing off that red buff now is 4 CS or 1 camp ahead.
Yeah,
Scuttle is going to be the priority as the Scryer's Bloom comes out, and Jarvan is going to go back towards the mid lane, coming for a bit of a longer range this time. Nope, it's just going to be a farm fest for that man.
Yeah, but Kindred doesn't just get the scuttle on the back of this. This is a first mark over to Kindred. The coin toss comes up in favour of Dormin.
Yeah, lots of damage coming through from that bot lane trade. Vayne now getting a trade as well.
Aggression forcing the flash out in the wall. However, we've got Kindred lurking, looking for the gank. Zephyr immediately going to flash out of respect.
Yeah, 2 summoners burned from the red side bot lane. And to be honest, without Dormin there just happening to be around, that could have been really dicey there. That happened because of a nice 3-hit Vayne passive proc. And you've got Braum coming in with a stun. So those things can happen with or without a gank. I think OPN are a bit fortunate and need to look at how well they're overplaying their hand.
And meanwhile, on the back of forcing that attempted aggression on the bot side, we do see Zandyar is now without a heal. Zephyr is now without a flash. Noah did burn the flash in response, but overall, yet again, gains. Yelnats taking real aggression out of Clarky Josh here, losing out on a fair amount of CS to the turret as well. And seeing the Cho'Gath in this game, it reminds me, and I'll say it, not for the first time, but probably for about the millionth time on cast, of my favourite thing I've ever heard a league caster say on cast. I have quoted this in casts across the world, and it was one day when someone turned around and said, like an Alistair being hit by a Cho'Gath rupture, the stakes could not be higher. Daniel Craddock-Connell, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god, it's always good to be quoted at these levels after so long. I am honoured, good sir. So with that one,
people worldwide have heard that one now, my friend.
I made it happen, but then Greyheart raised it to new international levels.
They don't call me Mr. Worldwide for nothing. In fact, they don't really call me that at all. But they should. You know, I cast literally, almost all the continents at this point.
Yeah, you've done some crazy hours. I remember you casting all sorts of... You did the Chinese League? Have you done the Japanese League now?
Yeah, I've done unofficial broadcasts for LJL as well as LPL. Had a lot of fun with both of those. But right now, it's VL that I am most interested in. We are just over the 5-minute mark in the game. First blood has not been secured for either team. We are not having a fiesta of a game just yet.
And yeah, if we're going to see a fiesta, that's the only time we're going to have where I can follow up the Mr. Worldwide joke with 305 and looking at someone's KD. That's not going to happen if no one kills anyone. So these teams who are both focusing towards a bit later in the game with picks like Kindred and Vayne are really going to need to get something on the boards. To be honest, the Mountain Drake is now up, and we've got significant pressure towards it from Esports Wales Water. So we're going to see a bit of a flashpoint there. Ace the jungler is clearing vision. They've got Vayne and Braum in the area. At this point, you've either got to do the objective or turn it into a recall or a play. Otherwise, it's just wasted resources.
I think it might be the play that comes through as the recalls are cancelled. The steadfast presence is put up by Yelnats. Dragon looks like it is indeed going to be started up. Yelnats goes so very, very low. Cho'Gath already using the ult, tries to flash forward, tries to heal, takes a turret shot, almost dies. Yelnat levels up to 6 and lives.
You know that Yelnats was watching the bar to see when that Keeper's Verdict was going to come available. And I think Clarky Josh was expecting more damage to come through. Didn't count on Poppy just reducing damage taken at low health. But yeah, it's that sort of top lane duel. Everyone's at low health, the heartbeats are raised, the jungle drums come down, and then nothing meaningful happens and someone flashes away because of a tower shot. It's beautiful.
I mean, the most important thing there was the Feast not getting the execute damage down, and after that had happened, it was not going to work out nicely for Clarky Josh. Both of the top laners burned their flashes on that trade. The first dragon is just about to be secured by Jarvan, who didn't actually take it on the back of all those plays, but will pick it up now.
Yeah, Jarvan with 600 gold in his pocket without getting a mythic item yet. He's going to lose quite a lot of health to this first Drake, the Mountain Drake, so will call for his team support. Queer's in the area. Has the Vision of Empire for a steal if necessary.
That would be tough to steal with this. Volley's not quite going to connect, and the Dragon will go over to Esports Wales, finding themselves an objective, even if they couldn't find a kill, but they're falling behind on some of their CS. As a result, they're 500 gold down.
Yeah, in terms of 500 gold down, obviously it sucks. You want to be ahead. It's nice to have gold when you can get it. But given the danger and jeopardy that they were in the bot lane, given that they weren't really looking to fight objectives early on, they've really done better than I was expecting. And I don't know about the audience, how well they were expecting. It would be great to see them really push on from this. Jarvan gank bot lane.
Finds the aggression on Namor, who hasn't got the flash available. Cataclysm comes through, and first blood is secured. Ace! It's not quite an ace, but it is a kill for Ace.
That's going to be a misleading caster name. I hope to find that out later. I mean, if he's the captain, so we might get an interview later. Very premature if Esports Wales do tonight. Jarvan going to go for a bit of counter jungling on the back of that successful gank, and looking to take home some Bramblebacks with his dinner tonight.
It's going to be another mark coming in for the Kindred, but unable to find any kills early on. I think things are looking good so far for Esports Wales. This is the team where we look at it and go, especially with the Vayne there, you're looking to scale, you're looking to have this big late game wombo. They find themselves first blood. They haven't given up any objectives in the early game. I think they've got to be happy with how this game's playing out so far.
Yeah, it's not quite textbook, but if you could pick where to be at this point, they'd have taken this option. They've just got to repeat, wait for those objectives, and come around again. The Rift Herald, on the other hand, though, is going to Dormin, who is taking a late-game jungle like Kindred, and taking advantage of the fact that Ace has been seen bot side a lot, is going to pick up that Herald for potential tower aggression. Big action bot side.
Navor gets condemned against the wall, has just had Flash come back up, isn't even going to burn it, knows they are dead. 2 rights, keeps their summoner spells intact. Queen, meanwhile, does not have a Flash available, will not be able to survive. 2 kills coming in, 1 for each of the bot lane duo of Esports Wales.
Slammed to death with a door. That's a dead bot lane, and you're now starting to see the power of concussive blows. Braum is past his weak early laning phase. He's getting some health together. He's got his shield, and Vayne now has the movement speed of level 6 combined with final hour when necessary. Massive damage, and it's looking more and more formidable down there.
It is 1.8 gold lead now. I mean, just 4 minutes ago, we were talking about how there was a 500 gold lead going over to the OP nerds. Well, that has long since gone away. Kindred is going to try and return some of the gold, but it's going to arrive a little late. Turret shot's going to connect, but it's not going to worry Braum too much. You can just stand behind him.
Indeed. Where there's a door, there's a way, and here there's a way out. Stormin goes for some pressure. Might get 1 or 2 tower plates, but really Vayne and Braum weren't too hurt by that. Zandiar had the heal a couple of minutes ago taken down, but now has it back up, so we're going to really see Vayne and Braum able to defend for now, able to absorb any pressure that they need to.
I suppose this is a little bit of the problem with this Kindred pick in comparison to the Jarvan. We saw both the ADC's flashes burnt in the early aggressive play bot side, but it was only the Jarvan who was able to make it play into a kill for his team. And now he's looking for yet more. As Ace is going to come down to the bot side, finds Cataclysm immediately flashed away from by Navor. Queen is going to throw out the ultimate, but I'm not entirely sure Demonic Ascension is enough to keep this Swain alive. Silver Brawl's proc number 2 is enough to secure the kill. Zandiar now 2-0-2 on the Vayne pick.
Yeah, they're throwing down the question marks. They're wary of the Kindred, but there is none forthcoming. Ace has seen the missing summoner spells bot side and taken repeated advantage. That's what you're meant to do as a jungler. You see the opportunity, burn the summoner spells, and if that lane mispositions or overextends, then it is free for the taking. So props to Ace for capitalizing, props to the bot lane, and we've now got a bounty on Zandiar. Yelnat's under threat up top.
Club Josh is going to get bopped away by the ultimate from Yelnats. Keep his verdict coming out just about in time to stop a potential feast for the Cho'Gath. Meanwhile, we've got to have a little look towards when this next dragon's coming up. I think we've got about a minute left on the clock until we see our second dragon of the game, and it is a Cloud Dragon, which means quite interesting. We'll be looking towards an Infernal or an Ocean Soul, both very high valued.
Yeah, definitely the ones you want to pick if you're going to be soul shopping, and it really leads toward this late game we've been talking about. Honestly, Greyhearts, we've been looking at bot lane a lot, and that's because the top lane and the mid lane, they've been alright in terms of farming. We haven't seen big domination. Grievous might be caught out here.
Ooh, dodges away just about, but gets caught by the Glacial. Fisher tries to find speed up, tries to find the shield, gets pulled back by the shockwave. Flash comes out, and it is going to be with a little help from the... Actually, the arrow doesn't even get an assist because that's not even on the same team. The arrow finds a stun, but it's not enough to save General Grievous, and it is going to be a kill coming in for Zephyr. Slight surprise this one will get passed over to Orianna, but it is what it is. Zephyr now slightly caught out as he looks to invade onto the opposition jungle, gets caught out by the volley, but as the second dragon spawns, all the prio belongs to Ace.
Honestly, Greyheart, I couldn't work out whether Harry was just big-braining himself by using the shockwave and then flashing into position.
I wasn't sure.
Was it I don't know if it was an anticipation of a flash by Grievous, but Either way, the Ash Arrow didn't do too much. It's a kill. It's going to lead towards a dragon. And Quee's not going to be able to get this one.
Again, volley from the is pretty close to stealing that one away, but not close enough. Ace will be happy enough that his team are securing this one. Ace now with that Iron Spike whip, and is going to be looking keeping an eye towards where that build is going, because I say Jarvan, not something I've been seeing a huge amount of, so I'm interested in the build paths. First mythic of the game comes through for General Grievous on the Karma, that Moonstone Renewer. We see it so often these days.
Yeah, straight into the utility camp. Queen now putting down some damage in the bot lane, but Brown, he's standing behind himself, if you can look at his shield. Not too much happening in the mid lane. We look to see a lull state as the big objective's down. Baron's not going to be up for a while. We're just going to have people spend their gold, advance into those mythic items, as Gray was pointing out. And honestly, the top lane, we haven't seen any big swing either way. We've seen a lot of close fights, like we saw at level 6. But these are just two beefcakes that aren't really getting too much purchase on each other, and they're fairly equal on farm as well.
They are indeed. Aggression from Yelnats, who is going to find the push from Clarky Josh. No stun to be found. No fairly even trade. Clarky Josh probably just about getting the worst of it, but still has the corrupting potions to fill up the health.
Yeah, fairly static at the moment. That cannot be said of the bot lane, though. Vision of Empire coming down. Queen and Nowell were in a really aggressive position earlier in the game, but repeated ganks and losses to their opponents, who are collectively 4-0 and 5, have led them to be a lot more cautious in this lane. They're fairly close on farm, which is credit to them, but they can really give away a lot of presence to their opponents.
It's a dangerous thing to say because that could so easily be proved wrong on this one, but it feels like the game is getting away from OP nerds and looking at what is their avenue into getting back towards potential gold lead, and I just don't quite see it into this composition at the minute. It feels like with Ace on this Jarvan, the engage is there, there's so much team fighting potential, tankiness coming from Clarky Josh, a fed late game ADC in Zandiar, and frankly, I just don't see how on earth that's going to get broken down unless we start seeing some very, very clever picks out of the OP nerds.
And in combo with that Greyheart, when you think that the main damage dealer, the magic damage dealer on the side of OP Nerds, is building the Moonstone Renewer, it's going more and more towards a single damage dealer champion in Ashe. You don't really have the variance of damage either. The AP is sort of missing. So you've got a team that's behind. They're probably doing worse late game, and they're probably a worse damaging composition late game as well. The cards aren't looking good for OP Nerds. Of course, with League of Legends, the beauty is you can always take advantage of mistakes and win team fights through superior positioning. SKT did it, so if OPN want to put themselves in that comparative group, then they can certainly look to do something here. Ace catching out Grievous mid.
Cataclysm straight Grievous, who flashes out of trouble, and I'm Just Harry isn't able to arrive and deliver a shockwave this time around. Still waiting on I'm Just Harry's flash to come up, but it certainly will be up a lot sooner than General Grievous is on the back of yet another summoner being spelled by proactive ganking coming out of Ace. I'm
so distracted just by the amount of really close fights in the top lane. Flash is burned, and that's a kill.
East, and that's dead for Yelnats.
Yeah, absolutely massive. We see the big top lane mental swing. That's all you do on the island. You do a bit of farming, realise generally that there's a river and a rift somewhere else on a map, but you've got first blood on your opponent, so Clarky Josh must be really throwing him down some threats on social media later on. For now, it's going to turn into a Rift Herald, the second and final of the game at 16 minutes.
I didn't see the first Rift Herald go down, but judging by the lack of health on the mid lane turret for Esports Wales, I'm guessing that's where the bot hit, but the second bot will almost certainly come in favour of Esports Wales as they secure the eye second time round.
Yeah, they're yet to be killed. It's 6-0 in kills. Towers are yet to be broken. We're seeing Grievous in a pickle.
Caught out by the shockwave, of course, doesn't have the flash available. It is going to be flash from Dorwin to find the Lamb's Respite, just to buy a little bit of safety. Now going aggressive, trying to find a first kill. Finds I'm Just Harry, gets a big old chunk of gold into the Kindred's pocket. Dorman came to play.
Yeah, really nice comms down to Navor as well, who fired that Enchanted Crystal Arrow. So combined with the damage, it did something. They're now on Cho'Gath.
Yeah, Clarky Josh taking a lot of damage. As you can see, the target for Kindred right now is the Jarvan, so not actually finding another mark on the back of that one. A little update for Kindred fans out there. Currently, we do see 3 stacks on the Kindred, so only a smaller way away from getting that crucial next point. I think it's 4 that they need.
Yeah, percentage damage coming through on Kindred is really great against those tankier targets. Dormin really undoing the work of Esports Wales in getting a kill on the board. Great for morale as well as actual gold figures. The gold gap was a good 2.5k. It's now down to 1.8k. And there's going to be a big test of our two teams, as our third Drake, the Ocean Drake, is just getting his wings ready, doing a few startup exercises, throwing off his sub's fluorescent jersey, and making his way into his home pit.
And what a potential test of these two teams this could be as well. Obviously, crucial for both of these teams in a way to secure this one. Quee is completely caught out. Has the flash available. Instead, he's going to go golden in Demonic Ascension. Ace going to find the teleport coming through from I'm Just Harry, who's going to arrive with
Oriana's in.
Available. Shockwave lands on to 3. That's enough to find I'm Just Harry kill. On to Dorman. He did not have the Lamb's Respite back up again since that fight in mid lane. A catastrophic failure to communicate comes in from the OP nerds. They will lose their third dragon of the game, almost uncontested.
Yeah, Karma having a cube with an attempt to steal. It has a second activation, but it's not going to happen. Awkward catch out by Quee. He had good instincts in popping that golden mode, but really at that point, it's not going to save you. I love the teleport that came in from I'm Just Harry from the top lane all the way down to that fight. The shockwave was excellent, hit the 3 targets required, and Navor was actually on the wrong side of the fight with Quee, had no way to get to his team, no way to put down safe, consistent damage, and at that point, the fight was all but over. 3 Drakes. Rift Herald barreling its way down the bottom lane. She's going to do more work in the future as well. Getting close to that inner turret. And with turrets down 1-0, it might well be 2-0. We're going to see some real gold swing towards our red side Esports Wales.
We sure are. Queen having to step away defensively. We're very wary of the potential concussive blows out of the Brawl. Meanwhile, General Grievous just going to try to do some work against Clarky Josh. But we've already seen what this Cho'Gath can do given the opportunity in a 1v1. Right now, I think you've got to be playing a very, very cautious game against the monster.
And the monster has gone for a Frostfire Gauntlet there, so a lot of health, a lot of resistances, and just a really annoying presence in the middle of a fight. They've got a lot of hard CC. That Cho'Gath alongside the Rupture is just going to be really annoying and get in his enemy's face and really do exactly what a Cho wants to do. According to Kengan01 in Twitch chat, this is why Cho is my ban right now. I wonder if he or she has nightmares about Cho'Gath with Frostfire.
I mean, it's kind of disgusting on its own, but then you look at the composition it's playing into, and as you've so rightly pointed out, Kraden, so little AP damage is going to come out of this OP Nerds team that actually just having those Mercury treads and will get you your tenacity. It will get you that little bit of magic resist you need to deal with Swain and Karma. And then you're just full armor going, you know what, you might have 2 ADCs, but I'm still going to be able to tank for roughly 8 years.
Yeah, and tank is the name of the game for Cho'Gath. We're seeing 2 Wise Kraken Slayer purchases on the blue team compared to 1 for the red team. Both Dormin and Navor, the OP Nerds famed duo for a while, they've gone for the Kraken Slayers. They want to bust down at those tanks. They're sacrificing the safety of, I think it's the Immortal Shield Bow. I might be getting that wrong. And they're going instead for an item which will shred those big boys on Esports Wales.
Yeah, it makes sense, but at the same time, like you say, you lose a certain amount of safety. For instance, if you had a Gale Force and had the opportunity to dash out, I believe that can get you outside of a Cataclysm. Maybe that would have helped, would have provided a little bit more longevity for these characters, but we'll see if it works out. You're going to have to eat the health bars somehow, so maybe this is the route in with the double Kraken Slayer completed. On the other side, however, Kraken Slayer already completed, and as you can see through those items, getting pretty near to a second item completion for the 0-3 vein.
Yeah, still a massive danger, and only going to get more so as the game continues. Nice ward in the top lane from Esports Wales. They spotted Dormin's advance up there just to try and get an advantage. Laning phase has truly ended with a lot of both teams concentrating around the middle of the map. I love the deep wards from Esports Wales. Ace is leading the charge, but Clarky's behind, and they've caught Dormin.
Dormin does have Ultim available, may well need to use it should they give themselves any chance to survive. Ace and also Clarky are going to get caught out by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but already 1 kill's been secured. Ace is going to go down in response from the war, able to find this one, weaving the volley through, but is now being closed down upon. Does have the flash available, but doesn't have a chance to use it.
Oh my
Condemned
God.
to the wall, kill for Clarky Josh. Queen now without a single place to turn to, and 3 for 1 in the opposition jungle is how things go for Esports Wales. They look absolutely dominant as they push towards themselves, trying to get second place in this league.
Yeah, Clarky was absolutely invincible in that fight. Backing up his jungler, they were already had a lot of presence in the right places, and they caught Grievous, not quite napping, but trying to get some presence in the bot lane, which meant he was away for the start of that fight, and couldn't teleport anywhere close in the midst of it. After that point, it was just Clarky absorbing all the damage, and even though Ace fell down, that bought the time that Zandior needed to get into the fight and just start to shred players. Navor, Quee, Dormin, they couldn't really hold up to sustained pressure because they don't have the giant health pools of the big tanks. And that's going to be the big purple worm going down. Baron, the first Baron of the series, going towards the way of Esports Wales, backing up their third dragon. And it's going to be a fourth one spawning in 30 seconds.
And crucially, the timers are not in favour here of the OP Nerds. They were around the target, that dragon pool nice and early, but with the dragon having not spawned, the enhanced recalls come through for Esports Wales, and they look like they're going to be able to maybe waste a little bit of their enhanced Baron power play. However, that's a betrayal of a blast cone, and Ace gets sent back into the enemy team, has to flash away, gets rooted down, but just about flagging drags away. General Grievous flash to secure the kill. Now there's no jungler available for this crucial fourth dragon. Zephyr tanking up so much damage, as is Clarky Josh, and we see that Yelnats and Dormin already having their health bars ripped through. Rupture not going to connect with any of the 5 members of OP Nerds, but there is a bit of zoning quality that has been done very, very nicely by the Esports Wales lineup. The question is, do they start this dragon up, given that Ace isn't here, and this could be a potentially easy steal for Dormin?
I'm just loving the amount of VL coins that must have been promised to I'm Just Harry to pop that blast cone. Ace just got left in a tough position, even though he had the EQ. There was so much CC on the side of OP Nerds, and he just had nowhere to go. That's the easiest way to give your jungler away before an objective fight. We've got a catch out on Zypher as well, going into the jungle, but it's going to be Esports Wales getting the way out of there. The dragon is low.
Shockwave onto 2, Queen goes golden again, dragon is going to go over, but the question is, can the sustain through the fight come in for OP Nerds? Esports Wales seem to be running rampant. Dormin goes into the Lamb's Respite, flashes out, but the final Silver Bolt proc will connect onto the jungler. Kindred is no more, never one without the other. Now neither of them alive as Nawar dies too.
And it was all in vain. I don't know if that means OP Nerds' fight efforts or the kill gold. As Zandiar picks up 2, gets a good assist on the third. And it's just looking more and more imperious. Has the bot truck to go with the Kraken Slayer. Has the farm advantage. Has almost the maximum bounty of 700 gold. And yeah, if that's a way to react to losing a jungler, then they look pretty imperious. They're going to cut down 2 towers in the mid lane. Look towards getting their first inhib on the board, having not lost a tower yet. We'll see if this can be defended by Kui, and we're going to have 2 players maybe take this back for OP Nerds.
Yeah, some good wave play comes in for OP Nerds, and they do manage to keep the inner part of their base alive. Wow, like you say, a really, really good turnaround. They lost their jungler, they took the 4v5 fight. This was, by the way, on the back of, I believe it was Yelnats having gone back to base full health, coming back into it as a full health Hoffby. And even so, yes, the dragon was secured by Dormin, something that I feel like OP Nerds had to do, but they paid such a price for it.
Yeah, it felt like OP Nerds didn't have the agency of that dragon situation. They just had to wait there and sort of use poke to get anyone out the way. Ace really negotiated that well, but the kill led to so many things, and it led to them rallying, getting forward, and just setting up Zandiar so well. With Baron out of the way for another 3 minutes, Ocean Drake having the same sort of time before it comes up again, of course the 4th Drake being incredibly crucial to Esports Wales. We're going to reach a bit of a lull situation, and that lends itself well to either just quiet farm, or likely in the case of Esports Wales, contented sieges on one of the side lanes.
Looking at farm as well, look at the CS on I'm Just Harry, not only running this 2-1-4 score line, but 220 CS to their name as well. 2 completed items, plus a Fiendish Cone Dex in the bank as well. Things looking great for Esports Wales. They're getting closer and closer to a 10k gold lead.
Yeah, OP Nerds about to be almost out, like a shout that I'm making to Team ODC2. Did you like that one? We're going to see the red team just get so much more vision on the board. As a former support, I do like to look at the vision score. It's fairly equal, but I do like the fact that despite OP Nerds falling behind more and more, they've always had pretty good vision. They've got a nice vision line in the bot half. Quee's really masterminded vision around his lane and just dragged it back. The problem is, vision doesn't matter if you can't kill champions and take objectives. They're stuck in a 3-1-1 defensive position and just almost waiting in a reactive rather than proactive mode to see what Esports Wales will do next.
Yes, I think I'm enjoying my reunion with yourself and Quee a little bit more than Quee's probably enjoying it tonight. Running that 0-4 scoreline. To be fair to him, hasn't had the worst of games, certainly not in it like some of the games we used to cast them in, but even so, it's not been a happy time for the bot lane duo there. Noor and Quee unable to really make anything happen against Zandiar and Zephyr, which sort of had to do in the early game.
Yeah, Swain, going with the one Swain game a day joke and why it's so good in solo queue. It's because you don't have the coordinated bot lanes like you do in amateur leagues like VL, where you can catch out one player and it works so well. And to be honest, at level 1, he'd taken half of Zypher's health. Just the careful play by Zandiar and Zypher at the early levels was enough that they needed to get around the strategy that Navo and Kui wanted to bring to the table.
It's not been an easy one for them to play around. Ever since Ace secured that first blood, it feels like bot lane advantage was well and truly secured by Esports Wales, and then they continued to find the advantages around the map. We saw basically solo kills from both I'm Just Harry and Clarky Josh against their respective laners as well. And it's just a sign of how good this team has been, and they'll certainly be top contenders getting towards that potential second seed in the league.
And that's what our teams are focusing on tonight. They're sort of waiting to see how other results go. Horizon Light versus Therapy Session is a best of 3 tonight after all. But all you can do in League of Legends is beat the team of 5 in front of you, 4 if you make someone rage quit due to repeated ganks. Baron is coming up, and we're going to have the 4th Ocean Drake, potentially for Esports Wales, 30 seconds later. So, will they go for objective efficiency? They've certainly started it.
They're going to start it off, and this is going to get absolutely shredded through. Of course, the Vayne, as you say, a Kraken Slayer and Bork both completed. Phantom Dancer on top of it as well for extra attack speed. Another Dragon is going to be spawning very, very shortly. This may well be traded back, and this might be enough to deny the potential soul again, because the timings on these resets are just about coming up in favour of OP Nerds to keep them in the game.
Okay, I'm curious to see what happens here. They've got Clarky near the Dragon Pit. They've got 2 in the top lane. This is either a delay or a really bad way to stop the Dragon happening.
I don't think the Dragon is going to be stopped, even with a potential feast. It is going to be a second Dragon, but the question is what will be lost in return. Last time a Dragon was secured, we saw 3 kills, 2 turrets come in, 1 turret is already forfeit, and now I do believe
recall's complete.
A huge amount of pressure. Clarky Josh is going to teleport top side, looking to see this inhibitor down, and there it goes. Yelnats trying to do what they can, trying to zone away, stepping away from the rupture, for now keeping the inhibitor intact.
Yeah, Zypher knocked away for now. Both teams sort of resetting. Of course, the second Ocean Drake going over. They're still on a bated breath. Hair Trigger waiting to make a really nice contribution. If Dorman can maybe catch out Zandiar with the Ash Arrow, that could lead to so much. But at the moment, the siege situation is horrible for OP Nerds. They're waiting to see if something breaks out.
You saw the vision of Empire there connect onto 2 members, and basically no health bars go down at all. This is the problem when your support Swain doesn't get going at all, doesn't get any real AEP. When your Karma is building basically full support, magic damage is something that is not going to be coming out of this composition. And now we see it here, the bot lane that is going to be under threat, as it is going to be an offense on from all angles coming out of Esports Wales.
Yeah, OP Nerds really have to do something here. They don't want to, but really they have to. They have to get the poke down, volleys, empowered Qs from General Grievous. They are losing turrets, and it's not going to look good. Shockwave in.
Obliterating Kui's health bar. They're sent running for the base. The turret going lower and lower. We've already seen the Enchanted Crystal Arrow whiff, and as a result, yet another potential tool to take this fight is gone. The turret is gone. The mid turret is about to be gone. And guess what? I think OP Nerds' chances are gone.
They just can't fight back. They want a way to get into the fight. They've already blown the Ash Arrow. That's the biggest tool to get in. And how do you engage on a team like this anyway, with Vayne having so much damage, Orianna having so much as well? Kui flashes in.
So aggressive, straight in to the show's face. Demonic Ascension is live, but so is everybody else. And as a result, it is just going to be a nice, easy backup on the back of the inhibitor push coming through. Esports, they get in, they get out, they're fine.
I think probably the biggest issue in the last 30 seconds has been Comms Greyheart, because Orianna's engage onto Kui was massive. It dropped him to 15% hit points with a single QWR combo. Similarly, Kui blew just about every cooldown he had apart from Ignite to get in and out there. However, none of the teams seemed to be aware. It didn't seem to be a coordinated effort, just the, okay, I've got this, let's go. Oh, it didn't work, right, let's get out moment. I'm trying to get through Kui and Harry's internal monologue here. What I think I'm trying to say is, try and talk to your team, just say, I'm going in, back me up. That could have worked in both cases, maybe more so the Esports Wales one.
The last couple of times this Baron has spawned, the timings have fell quite nicely in terms of being able to deny dragons in terms of OP Nerds' perspectives. This time round, that will not be the case. The dragon will spawn considerably before the Baron does, so we could well see the Ocean Soul secured. Once I see this Cho'Gath with Ocean Soul, I don't think there's a chance you kill him.
He's just so strong. Got the mythic items. Got the thorn mail now to deter the physical damage dealers. Yeah, force of nature coming in. The resistances are there. Whenever we've seen Clarky in a fight, he's not been the main focus, and rightly so, because you waste all your time on him. Ace dodging a Kui never move. Kui really can't protect the bottom side of his own base. It's really a siege mentality coming in for OP nerds. They can't contest any objectives. They have to wait for something to slip up. They really don't have a fighting chance in a fair 5v5.
It's not a good sign when you say the only thing going well for this team is the fact that they haven't lost more than one inhibitor, but they might be about to. 4-1 push coming in. Cho up on the top side, try and take down that exposed inhib. 4 members bot side, try and take away this one. Of course, mid lane already down. Dorman trying to find a bit of damage onto Ace, but he's pretty damn tanky. General Grievous cannot take a 1v1 against this Cho'Gath. Dorman coming over to try and make a 2v1, trying to prove me wrong, trying to kill the unkillable beast. But while that happens, yet again, the aggression comes in. Flag and drag disrupted by the steadfast presence. The inhibitor goes down nonetheless. 45 seconds until yet another dragon spawns. Kui goes aggressive, pops the demonic ascension, finds an end move. The enchanted crystal arrow connects, but the bop away is going to save Vane's life. The worst possible scenario for OP nerds comes true. Their health bars get shredded as Vane returns to the fight once more. A Nexus turret already falls. A double kill comes in for Zandiar. Dorman trying to do everything they can, but now they're stuck on the base of the steps of their fountain as both Nexus turrets are destroyed. The Nexus will follow suit, and it will be game to Esports Wales.
Absolute anti-synergy coming in there. It's really hard to land anything on Vane because of the mobility, but it seemed for a shining moment in the dismal doldrums of that game that Navor was able to see the light and find the attack, landing the enchanted crystal arrow onto Zandiar. And then came Yelnats doing It Can't Touch This from the 90s. It's MC Hammer time. And that immediately saved the Vane. Even without that happening, without the critical shutdown on the Vane, the rest of the fight was always going to go the way of Esports Wales. They had the massive gold lead, and the scoreboard says it all. Gold lead, kill lead, 11 towers to 0. They didn't even need the Elder Dragon because they were able to use the other objectives as pressure counterbalance. Well wrapped up, even if it was slow in doing so.
Yeah, didn't even need the soul either. That was the stage they got to such a level of aggression in the early play. I love the way Ace made things work. I was looking forward to how the Jarvan was going to work out. I stand by it. I think it worked. It worked brilliantly as a pick. Was really excited to see it. Who would be your MVP coming out of that game?
MVP. I mean, I'm all about Ace at the moment. I like Clarky and I like Zandiar's performance in a lot of the fights. Clarky was the unsung hero, able to tank, able to back up, and went with Ace in several moments. And Zandiar was the one who did the highlight plays, got the farm advantage, got the bounty, basically had the name in lights for most of the game. But as you said, I think Ace's ability to set things up, repeatedly gank Navor and Kui for OP Nerd's bot lane, and really mastermind a lot of the plays that put Esports Wales ahead, including those late-game jungle roams, including getting the Baron following up with a push into the top lane rather than a threat on the Dragon. They seem to be Ace's mastermind. He's the captain, and you've got to guess he's the shot caller as well. Hell, if he wins, we'll find out in an interview, but I'm going to go for Ace in that one.
Well, certainly looking more likely that will happen on the back of that first game. Huge thanks to our terrific production, British Blaze, who's come in with a bit of an update, saying that this game is super important. Whoever wins this one next week has to win, has to overtake TPS for a potential playoff spot. So much still to play for here. What does that mean for this broadcast, Cran?
So what that means is Horizon Light, massive favourites, and won, I think, Division 3 last split. Are out of contention for the Div 2 playoffs. They now sit in 5th place with a 2-3 record. Pretty much the winner of this series today, OP Nerds versus Esports Wales. They have to win in the next series, and we'll look more at the tiebreak implications when the next game concludes.
Brilliant. Speaking of that next game, I assume that we're going to grab ourselves a quick break before it begins?
That's the plan.
Excellent. In which case, let's take that break now. Stick around, though, because we will have game 2 of this series very shortly.
We'll be back.
We are back. We're coming into game 2 of this best of 3 series between OP Nerds and Esports Wales. Crowden, what are you thinking coming into this second game?
I'm thinking I wanted a long cast with you tonight, but it looks like it's going to be just a clean 2-0. Apologies to any OP Nerds fans out there. Yeah, they maybe didn't have the right comp for the occasion. They're all good players. They just didn't show it in that last game. Esports Wales absolutely rolled over them in a game that didn't give OP Nerds much of a way in.
Do you feel like there were big issues in the draft?
I don't know too much about the draft, but it looked like they were setting up for a lot of early game poke, and nothing really happened for them in the early game. We talked between games, and you definitely pointed out that the jungle difference, not quite jungle diff in the way that you'd expect it in solo queue, but the champions that both junglers picked had a bit of an effect.
I think that's very true. I think my point there was that the fact that the Jarvan had this ganking potential meant that even though there was sort of this poke and this aggression being put onto things like the Vayne Braum that was picked by Esports Wales, that basically just led to them extending, and then come level 6, it was free gank territory for Ace, and yeah, was just able to get so much more done than Dorman really was. Yeah, they got a good few marks to their name. They, got that nice, well, not that early, but relatively early 4 stacks to get the first upgrade on the Kindred. But in comparison to what was accomplished by the Jarvan, I think it was fairly negligible. Not going to see it this time though, as it is banned away alongside Sejuani.
Yeah, it's almost tradition at this point. The losing team will sort of target ban 1 or 2 champions that we'll see from the winning team. But of course, we're going to get a few target bans from Esports Wales, keeping it up from game 1. Urgot against Yelnuts and Seraphine coming in against Grievous and Kui. Yeah, to add to that first game, I feel like maybe if there was a weakness to Esports Wales, they were clinical, but they seemed to slow down a lot, even though they had a massive advantage. They seemed to be just waiting for the objectives, and the only real aggressive play they made, rather than sending their own jungler in with a blast cone, was trying to get a good attack ahead of a Baron into the enemy jungle. I feel like they maybe could have tried to push their advantage more, but you can't argue with results.
Well, with nothing having really gone wrong for Esports Wales last time round, they're able to borrow the old mantra, not karma, but in this case, the mantra of if it's not broken, don't fix it. And we're going to see the same 3 bans targeted yet again towards OP Nerds. We're also going to see Esports Wales continue to be on the red side of the rift. My assumption is that it's side selection coming in for both of these teams across this best of 3, and someone's decided they want to be in the same place again. Morgana, the first lock-in. Expect this one to be going towards Rob Kui Cooper.
Yeah, he's a real mastermind on that champion. He likes to. Some say he can predict where you'll be at 21 minutes 30 seconds into the game and fire a binding towards it from the fountain. But we'll have to see if that matters. No Stig comparisons. Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if it is broke, you're only allowed 1 game of it a day in solo queue. Cheers, Swain. We've got Vayne coming back on the field. Zandy are definitely happy with that. And it looks to be the complete collector's edition box set of Vayne Braum in the bot lane. Zypher really impressing on that champion as well. The real sort of understated clinical play you need on Braum. Not dying in the first early laning phase, really setting up and getting in front of Vayne at every possible chance.
All that matters to me in these next few moments of Champ Select is which junglers get picked for each team. I want to see something with more agency for Dormin, something that allows them to play more aggressive, to punish this Vayne more early on, and I want to see what the replacement for Jarvan is going to be. Senna is locked in, most likely to go alongside the Morgana. We'll see whether or not this is going to be a fasting Senna or not, and we are going to see one last pickup for OP Nerds. For me, this is a crucial one, especially if it's the jungle pick.
Yeah, I'm looking at Dorman's latest page to see what he's played. It doesn't look good. One of the last few games was Earth, Shaco, Exhaust, Ignite. So let's look away from that for a moment and see what gets gone for. Sion appears to be the top lane choice rather than jungle. So interesting to see a top lane blind pick at stage 3, but really protecting jungle at this point.
I'll be honest, I don't particularly get it, but potentially it will be the Undead General that will come in tops. Of course, General Grievous, most likely not going to be playing that Sion. Oh, just out of interest, so this is something that I had an opportunity to cast the other day. I don't think it's going to happen here because we have the Morgana locked in, but just possibly, could we see General Grievous playing Morgana mid, and then we get the Senna Sion big brain bot lane duo. You can put the root down onto a minion, and then using the Sion shove, you can send the root into the opposition. Great fun.
Oh my god. I've seen the cousin of that one, the Big Brain Scion Zillion bot lane, where you do the same with the bomb, the Scion, Roar of the Slayer acts as the delivery system.
The downside with that is you have to play Scion and Zillion in the bot lane.
Yeah, it really is. At that point, you might as well go for the Ticking Nuggets, the Clock Rocks, the AD Crit Zillion, and we all know where that leads. Lunacy, and definitely not appearing in the top half of an amateur league. As it stands, we've got Scion probably in the top lane. Senna and Morgana, definitely utility side, although Senna does pack a punch later on into the game. We've got a lot of scaling to match the Vayne on the opposite side.
I mean, when Riot has to come out and make individual posts about a certain champion and their interactions, you know there's something broken. And right now, the Kraken Slayer Rageblade Senna interaction is something that massively favours this champion, especially favours them as they get more and more stacks later into the game, which is why we see fasting Senna more often than not. Interesting to see the LeBlanc being picked. You talked about the surprise of seeing the top lane blind picked, potentially allowing this counter pick to come through. Well, on the opposite side of the map, Esports go, OP Nerds, we see you, we'll raise you on, and we'll throw LeBlanc straight into the mix because we don't want to see this one banned away.
I love it, and yeah, that's the primary reason to pick at 3, because you avoid that extra ban phase. And LeBlanc for Harry is something that works. We've got 70% win rate on Harry's solo queue, a 5.5 KDA, which is among the highest KDAs seen in solo queue for any of the players on Esports Wales. So really a power pick. We'll see if that translates well from just picking out people as an assassin one-on-one to playing against a coordinated team who will be more mindful, and against Grievous, who's a very accomplished player himself. Darius coming in as well. So both solo lanes known, it is jungle being left for last. They've got a lot of agency on their lanes this time. They've got potential carry threat from Vayne, from LeBlanc, from Darius. Surely you just want a safer jungler in there to sort of get the CC down and back it up.
We may well be seeing ourselves a Shen jungle if this Victor gets locked in, but we don't talk about hovers for that exact reason. One thing is we can't question mark pin during champ select. It's something I always kind of wish we could. However, in this case, if I were to do it, I'd be question mark pinging a Leona ban once you've already seen 2, maybe even 3 champions locked in that could potentially be going into support. However, the Yas is now locked in, and so it looks like it's going to be Shen jungle. Probably Scion top, and probably Morgana support with Yasuo mid. We'll see the confirmation of that as the teams line themselves up in a moment. It's interesting, though. I like this kind of pickup. This is the champion which has a lot of pressure at the moment. Obviously has the Impale, which is such a useful tool, forces QSS out of so many people. These are 2 very interesting drafts, and I'm almost prioritizing the syllable int there.
So you should in some cases. I mean, I love the idea. Oh my god,
it is actually Scion support.
Senna Scion, Greyheart, you absolute genius. Did Kui bribe you for this?
He did not.
Did that happen?
I actually got to cast this lane just a few days ago, which is what made me think of it. But I did not think of it alongside a potential Morgana top. Shen has now swapped to top. We're going to talk about that once they're officially locked in 15 seconds time, because anyone could still go anywhere. It could be Kui trolling me. Forget.
Yeah, I can see him doing that and also doing the troll thing. So we don't talk about hovers, we don't talk about people not in their positions, and even then the players can switch on the riff.
I'm losing my mind.
No,
it's happening. It's Morgana jungle. Okay, let's stop and talk about this for a moment.
Okay, right. Esports Wales can wait for 3 minutes right now.
Beautiful. Okay, Morgana jungle. Here's why it's great. We go back to near the end of last season, and there were, I believe, 5 champions who were enabled extra potential clear in the jungle to give them the opportunity to become junglers. We saw Garen. We saw it played in competitive. We saw Zed. Never really saw it in competitive. Shen, I thought we were going to see it today, and it has been played the most of any of them. The one that no one really talks about, but had a huge amount of play in solo queue when it first got changed, is Morgana. This is something I've not seen for getting close to a year. Well, no, probably 6 months now. But we're getting to see it here in Valence League, and I love it.
I don't know where it's come from, because Dormin was a bot laner. Obviously, they'll have played Morgana a lot, but Dormin was the carry side. Morgana's a champion that will know how to play well with. And to be honest, even though on first look it appears to be a bit of a meme pick, if you can land that Dark Binding, that's the big if. If you can land that Dark Binding, think of the CC chain that just about any of his lanes, anyone that can back up Dormin, can provide. You've got the taunt from Shen, you've got the Steel Tempest Last Breath knockup combo from General Grievous, you've got Senna with the W, Sign with the Decimating Smash, and Stubble Onslaught combo. that team collectively can CC a target so well. And what that means is later on, they'll be looking for picks. They'll be looking to send one player to the Shadow Realm via a 12-second CC combo in which they can't move, and they write a letter to Riot Games complaining about how their champions are broken.
Thing that might be tricky for them, especially for General Grievous, is the fact that there are only 3 potential ways to find a knock-up. Yes, there's a huge amount of CC, but really it comes down to Sion and Yasuo, whether or not the last breath will be an efficient one from Yasuo or not. Over on the other side, I want to take it feels like we've spoken about OP Nerds a lot, and it's because their comp is wacky and I love it. But going over to Esports Wales Water, they have a really interesting comp as well. They started things off in draft exactly like they started last time. They had the opportunity to continue along that vein, even though the Jarvan had been banned away. Instead, they lock this LeBlanc in. They give something super aggressive. They could have had the Orianna to continue to protect the carry. They don't want to do that. They want 3 damn carries. They want the Darius. They want the LeBlanc. They want the Vayne. This does mean Vayne is going to have less protection going into the late game.
Yeah, Vayne and Brown we saw from last game. We'll see if they can manage a early game efficiently. It is the top half of the map where they've changed around. Just take a moment to remember that Clarky was the indomitable, indefatigable Cho'Gath in the previous game. So going on to Darius, onto a champion that can conceivably pentakill is a big switch for him. Similarly with Harry in the mid lane, going from Orianna, person who can set up in a team fight, but only utility farms before that. It's going on to LeBlanc, a really feared assassin with heavy single target damage. And then Ace has done the unthinkable as well. He's gone from Jarvan, someone who can deal fairly good damage, set up with the CC, to go even tankier onto the Skarner. So real paradigm shift from the top half of Esports Wales Water. I think they've still got the right balance of champions, but the interesting thing is that they're all going to sort of switch around their playstyles from game 1 to 2.
I mean, disagree with you on that one, Cran. I don't think the balance is there, particularly for this team from Esports Wales. I think the one champion that has stayed sort of similar, apart from their original picks, probably would be the Skarner, because the main thing it brings, much like the main thing Jarvan brings, is that potential CC, that gank ability that comes through from the potential stun from the Impale as well. Over on the other side of the map, I look at Clarky Josh, and he's gone for a matchup where he probably thought, much like we did, that he'd be facing off against the Sion, where you just go in, you go aggressive, you win the lane basically straight out, and all that the Sion gets to do is just get tankier and hopefully not die. All of a sudden, it becomes a skill matchup against this Shen, where you have to time things very, very well.
Yeah, positioning going to be so important here. Gray, you ready for the 10-second live check?
I mean, I'm beyond ready for the 10-second live check. I'm at 30 seconds. I'm that excited about this game. But I'll pull back and wait for you guys, because I'm nice like that.
Can we get some Jordan up in here?
We're good to go. We are good to go.
There we go. We can wait no longer. We're on to the rift for game 2 of this series. Esports Wales Water leading 1-0 in this best of 3. In a contest that seems to be more and more important for playoffs as the night goes on. Horizon Light no longer in playoffs contention, so the team that wins tonight is the only one in contention, and they must win their game in the following week as well. Lots of pressure on both these teams, knowing that they must not only win on the night, but also ahead. I can't imagine what they're thinking.
It's got to be a bit of a mentally tough one, but the most important thing is that you focus on this game. And for OP Nerds, this could be last chance saloon for their chances this season. Need to pull this one back to 1 apiece before things get too far out of hand, and by that I mean before they lose.
Oh, a nice bit of aggression coming in from the OP Nerds squad. They had a couple people in the top river. We're seeing the same trick that you pointed out, Greyheart, in game 1. Ace popping the yellow ward in the bottom half, recalling, going for the sweeper, and again looking to start towards that top side. So let's see if again he focuses on ganking for the bot lane of Zandiar and Zephyr. A certainly good strategy if you look at the history of game 1.
For those of you who haven't seen a huge amount of Morgana jungle, don't worry, you're not alone on that one. Generally, we see the Morgana starting at the Raptors, which is exactly what's going to happen here. Can solo this one so insanely easy with the, I think it's Tormented Soil, though I may have forgotten the name of that one.
That's the one, Tormented
Shadow. I was close.
Oh, it was Tormented Soil. Riot Games did a switcheroo on us. That could have been 5 years ago for all I know. It's just like how I still call that first camp the Wraiths. We're seeing Morgana move down to the red Brambleback, and that's really the kicker. Dormin will be on that camp for a while, using the Dark Binding to clear, but we'll be back to you in 10 minutes with a progress report.
The name that always catches me out is the Grand Starfall, which changed to Grand Skyfall during the Pantheon changes, and still catches me out slightly.
Yeah, James Bond gets sponsorship into everything. We've got Shen and Darius up top. It's a really nice matchup, as we pointed out, not the Darius Scion matchup that Greyheart said could have been a threat. Positioning really important, and level 2 a nice breakpoint. The taunt becomes available, as does the Apprehend for Clocky Josh.
Grievous trying to get a bit of damage trading back. I'm Just Harry just about winning this one. Crucially, got to keep our eyes on the Ignite there for I'm Just Harry in comparison to the Teleport we see for General Grievous. Also, the Eagle-Eyed amongst you will have noticed this is a fasting Senna. Just going to be harvesting up those souls, picking up as many as possible to get the range extension. It will mean they're slightly slower to get towards their crucial items, towards the Kraken Slayer, towards the Rage Blade, but it also means that Scion is going to get tankier, and tankier going to be able to build whatever items they want as the game goes on. You essentially gain yourself an extra champion. Meanwhile, I'm Just Harry going aggressive, dashing back, dashing forward, finding good damage on the Yasuo.
Yeah, it's really flush pointy, this mid lane. You expect to see full combos. Navor getting a lot of stacks on him.
And it is going to be Kui finding a knock-up, and there is our first opportunity to see that route coming through for Navor.
Yeah, I really love the idea of the Senna and Scion combining their CC. We haven't seen the masterful minion slam yet, but we did just see a direct hit from that W. Both junglers hanging around the mid lane. Ace did go up top and seem to threaten Yelnats a lot, but Yelnats playing way too safe and just really thwarting the early pressure of that Skarner.
While aggression being put down onto Skarner's jungle, and it is going to be a bot side, bit of aggression coming in. Ace will spot the vision out as they take away their blue buff, but will miss out on the Scuttle Crab, having already secured the top side scuttles, so won't be hurting too hard. As you can see, Morgana having absolutely no problems with this early clear.
Yeah, the blue buff is very critical for Morgana. Can she steal it?
This could be a huge steal. Smite is available, and blue buff goes over to Dormin, who already is looking to be more proactive than pretty much anything we saw in the opening 10 minutes of the last game.
And yeah, remnants of Dormin and Navor being a duo in the bot lane, they really know how to communicate with each other, and as it is, setting up a bot lane invade. Darius looking to go in on Shen here.
Taunt connects, but Apprehend is there in response. As I said, very much a skill matchup. You've got to time your abilities correctly, especially for the Darius here.
Yeah, the Hemorrhage at 5 stacks is going to deal absolutely massive damage. You do have a bit of a key strike ability to shield it, but Darius does win the long trade. Dormin coming into mid lane, Tornado misses.
Yeah, Steel Tempest not quite on point. You know for a fact that would have been followed by a long old Dark Binding had it been able to hit. And by the time that Dark Binding hits, as you know, might as well go and make yourself a cuppa. It lasts so long. Yeah,
by the way, this is not a drill. Dormin has the highest farm in the game as a jungle Morgana. Yep. You love to see it, just really harvesting up those camps.
That's it. The entire point of it, basically, you're able to get a huge amount of early clear with those changes that were made to the neutral monsters with Morgana. And yeah, you're just seeing how this pick can work. And honestly, looking forward to seeing how things work out as we come into the team fight, because suddenly we're going to have a jungle Morgana. We're going to have ourselves a Scion that's been picking up all this CS, despite the fact it's a support. I like what I'm seeing from the OP nerds.
Yeah, a lot of their champions are the more simple ones. Ace really setting up a big boy bait in the bot lane, being in that middle brush. But if one of the CCs from OP Nerds hits you, it turns into a giant chain of Fleetwood Mac proportions that can send you off shopping looking for that tea, as you said, Greyheart.
Meanwhile, Ace knew they weren't spotted out, had the Oracle available. Looks like
this is big.
No, they cancel the recall just as Navor steps forward, immediately having to flash out. Kui now trying to get out to safety without having to burn the flash, is able to do so. Root's going to get on the Zephyr, who also gets knocked up in response. Yet more souls secured from Navor as they managed to get time and time again the damage through from the piercing light.
Yeah, I really love the turnaround ability from Scion and Senna, and Kui saving his flash is pretty damn important. With that said, Navor's flash is also fairly crucial as well, so some gain from Zandiar and Zephyr with Ace's bait, even if it does mean losing a lot of health.
Nice taunt away, exactly the right play coming out of Yelnats. Meanwhile, on the back of that recall from the bot side and jungle of Esports Wales, we are going to see Dragon number 1. Started up by Dormin and the rest of their bot lane. It is going to be secured pretty free and easy, I'm pretty sure. And that is going to be an Ocean Dragon going over. The second dragon of the game will be Infernal. That means this time round we're looking at either Cloud or Mountain Soul.
Yeah, and it's really encouraging to see OP Nerds get something on the board in the early game. It's something they failed to do last time, and the counter jungle with Morgana, the active moves down the bot lane, and the great response to Ace's brush bait are some hallmarks of a better early start for OP Nerds. I'm loving to see, by the way, the Esports Wales guys in Twitch chat. I remember seeing Welsh Nightmare a lot from the previous split, so it looks like they've got a real big community. They've got Esports Wales Ice team also in VL, so looks like they're gathering around. Let's see if their support can make a difference tonight, as they're already 1-0 up.
I'd love to see it. Can't believe there are still people in Twitch chat, despite the fact we've got Cradden and Greyheart casting together. We do see at the 7-minute mark, it is a 200 gold lead for excuse me, losing the ability to talk briefly there to OP Nerds as General Grievous goes aggressive, dashing forward and back through the minions. Got a good trade back and damage coming out from I'm Just Harry. This happened last time round, however, and then we started to see the crucial jungle ganks as Ace hit 6. Now, Dormin has already hit 6, does have the ultimate available. Ace coming up to Impale territory very soon.
I'm just amazed that we saw a LeBlanc and a Yasuo trading past level 6, and we didn't see one of them instantly blow up, but there's more time for that on the table. Greyheart Skarner ganking up top lane, does not have Impale.
Apprehend is going to catch. Yelnats has the flash available, use it, and is able to get away from the stun. Ace was lurking, but as you said, level 6 still not hit on the Skarner. Falling behind on these camps has really hurt them.
Yeah, both junglers yet to make as meaningful an impact as we saw from Ace's Jarvan in the first game. Is that Ace going towards Rift Herald? That's a nice sneaky move, and it looks to have dodged vision as well. Fog of War does not spot Skarner attacking that Herald.
That is absolutely crucial for the Skarner, because Morgana is on that side of the rift, and if the collapse had come in, it would have almost certainly been a flash having to be burned out of Ace. Instead, they may well get the Rift Herald as reward for their sneakiness.
Yeah, I really like it when teams do that, especially with the big baits. It's like when Xpeke just throws off some abilities to bait players into thinking he's attacking Baron, and then they have a whole team there. I'm getting way too ahead and behind myself at the same time. Clocky Josh going in top lane, looking to get the apprehend off again.
Yeah, well, that's of course doesn't have the flash available, but saves the taunt beautifully. Clarky Josh is going to find a level advantage off this one, as well as a near 30 CS lead.
Yeah, absolutely massive. It's great to see Yelnats playing carefully, avoiding Ace's gank in the early game, and not giving away his life, but that CS lead is going to count for a lot when we start seeing mythic items rolling 1,200 gold on Clocky Josh's Darius. It seems he can play on the Darius as well as he can play on those tankier champions like his Cho'Gath last game.
General Grievous reading the moves from I'm Just Harry very, very nice. We'll have Steel Tempest available in a minute, but gets caught out by the root. Has Ignite burning. The Dawning Shadow will provide a shield that is going to save the life of the Yasuo. But meanwhile, we are going to see our first Impale of the game, but it actually pulls away from Clarky Josh. Yelnats trying to stay alive, but the big old dunk comes through. It's going to be first blood going over to Ace.
Absolutely massive. Love the CC chain, love the apprehend, love the impale, and the shield that Shen had could not really stop anything there. With Dormin in the bot half of the map, there's now no one who can really come back to stop that Rift Herald. It's going to break at least 2 plates, and that's going to be a first tower unless Yelnats can do something special with General Grievous on the teleports.
And it is indeed going to be General Grievous saving the turret from going down, but 4 turret plates there shared between Clarky Josh and Ace, who also found themselves the first blood and assist as well. Suddenly a near 1,000 gold lead over to Esports Wales. You said you love the Impale. Honestly, I love the idea behind the Impale. I wasn't too sure about the direction the Skarner decides to go at that point. I almost thought that it gave the game away. Now it's Dormin who might have given their life away, flashing over trying to find the blast code. Clarky Josh just about missing with the apprehend. He's going to get a dart binding to the face. Kui coming over, going to charge things up, not finding anything with the knockup, and I'm Just Harry is coming down to see if he can find himself a kill. Slow connects onto Kui as taunt is going to land meanwhile in the mid lane. Unstoppable onslaught. Kui is enough to get themselves out to safety.
I don't think I can give enough credit to how quickly Dormin reacted. He had a teleport flank behind him, he was caught out by 2, and he's a Morgana jungle. What he did, flashing onto the blast cone and getting out before dark binding his opponent, was really seat of the pants, heat of the moment stuff. And even though they burned a lot of summoner spells in getting out along with Kui's ultimate, they managed to get out without dying, which you've got to give a lot of credit for. Grievous up in the top lane, of course, had used his teleports, and he gets something out of the back of the overall trade with pushing towards that top lane outer turret.
Speaking of giving credit, so often when we see a fasting Senna, we see the champion that they are paired with, quite often a melee champion, falling way behind the opposition ADC on CS. Here we see a 7 CS lead for Kui, courtesy of the pressure put on by Navor and Kui in this duo. Xander is not even close to getting as far going as they were in the last game. At this point in the last game, they already had 2 kills, maybe even 2 assists to their name. Ace trying to turn things around, trying to make that happen now. Finds the slow onto Navor, is going to have the Impale available, trying to get in range, but unable to do so. though, as we are going to see the Mist helping the ball get to safety. Now the counter gank comes in. Black
Shins in as well.
In both views. Condemn will go into the wall, but we are going to see Dark Binding and Taunt both connecting onto the Skarner. Meanwhile, Braum's caught behind enemy lines. Dormin's going to help Quee find the kills. The stun is going to connect as is yet another Dark Binding. Another Dark Harvest stack will come in for the Morgana. Braum makes the great escape through to the Velasco, but might be about to get cut off by a Yasuo and a Morgana who are still chasing their prey.
Massive damage. We'll see if we have a brown kill. Zephyr running to Harry and the refuge associated. I love the fact, by the way, Greyheart, Zandiar was almost out of the fight, got caught by a stray binding, and when the Tormented Shadow came down, he had to burn his heel to stay alive. It's really that sort of fight which shows how well the CC of OP Nerds works together. They got the Shen, they got the Morgana, they got the ultimates coming off, and they really worked as a team. So despite losing a lot top lane, they made a lot happen there.
Our first mythic of the game is going to be Ace, who got first blood, securing themselves a chem tank, a turbo chem tank. First turret went down on top side. Plucky Josh picking this one up on the back of all of the fights. General Grievous goes in, knowing that he's been slightly caught out by Ace. Impale's going to connect, but it actually pulls away from the chain. Grievous now able to get out to safety as Dorman misses with the Dark Binding. General Grievous looking for a potential knock-up, and a last-second dodge away is going to get I'm Just Harry out to safety.
Yeah, Binding out of the way and Ethereal Chains out of the way, so both could have been crucial if they'd landed. We don't talk about ifs here in League of Legends unless they have spicy memes attached to them, as both players survive. Darius really consolidating his lead right now. He got a lot of push in that last fight. He has 1,500 gold to his name and has the Hearthbound Axe already. I'm not nearly as well versed in mythic items to know what he's going to be going for, but he's definitely got a massive lead enough to make it count.
I mean, they have got literally a 2,000 gold lead over Yelnats at this point. We see that huge CS advantage, all of the turret plating, the turret itself, so an assist going in as well. Great stuff for the top laner, but things not going so well across the Rift for the rest of that Esports Wales team, because right now there's a jungler with a 3 camp advantage in Dormin. Then you've got Yasuo, who's got this 30 CS lead as well. Senna is stacking up and has already got to 45 stacks, so approaching that key mark, which is 60 stacks. Then on the bot side, you've got a Sion who should have 0 CS, or maybe 10 off steel shoulder guards or something. Up there at 93 CS and going to be a champion in their own right as well. Things definitely not looking incredible for Esports Wales, despite the 500 gold lead they have in this game.
Yeah, you called it, Greyheart. They have basically an extra tank as a result of the Sion's performance. Because the bot lane shared EXP, it's not going to have quite the efficacy of a top lane tank. As a ward spots out Quee and Dormin hanging around in that tri-brush. A lot of focus towards the bot side right now. We're not going to see the dragon for a while. We're going to have a Rift Herald come up in a few seconds, so I expect the focus of the map to shift somewhat towards that direction. I love the idea of what OP Nerds can bring if they keep getting together, if they keep staying on par with Esports Wales and negotiating the carry threat of Harry and Clarky Josh.
What a lot of time for Grievous on this Yasuo pit. They're having a far nicer time than they did last time on the Calm. This seems to suit them yet more. However, they've been caught out by the combo. A wombo that it was. I'm Just Harry puts down the flash, puts down the ignite, puts down the Yasuo.
Yeah, 3-strike combo there from LeBlanc. We saw the distortion, we saw the ethereal chains, and we saw Greyheart's commentator curse. 1, 2, 3, and General Grievous is gone. That's his first death of the game. But he does get a mythic item. It's going to be the Immortal Shield, though. A lot of steel on there. Can Morgana be caught out?
Well, we're seeing a attempted steal of the blue buff while Skarner's taking away their Herald, but the damage comes through, and Dorman on the back of shielding from Stand United and Dawning Shadow is able to find themselves a kill. Quee gets a double as well. It's a 3-for-0 across the Rift. Beautiful turnaround play from the team that had just lost their mid laner.
I really love seeing that combo. Morgana and Shen again combining like they did in the bot lane, really turning around that fight when, to be honest, it looked lost given how well Harry has been just dishing out damage this game. Dormin continuing his monopoly on that enemy blue buff, which is hilarious to see from a Morgana jungle. And while, again, they've lost so much agency and farm and tower pressure in the top lane to Clarky Josh's great performance, they're making it count across the rest of the map, and Yelnats has all but taken the outer turret in the bot lane for OP Nerds.
Oh, you heard Loki give an excited little yap of agreement to your comments there, Crowden. Come on, Loki. Oh, bounce up. There she is. We've got the Greyhounds on commentary as well. What a bonus. Teleport burn by Clarky Josh. This is going to actually be quite a significant advantage, I feel. Now we've got double teleport available in comparison to 0 teleports on the side of Esports Wales. Maybe this is something that we can see the OP Nerds play around.
And yeah, when you throw in the natural teleport ability of the Shen Stand United, which admittedly is down at the moment, it gives a new dimension to that team when you've got the teleport on the mid lane. And yeah, OP Nerds can use that to contest 2 objectives at the same time. They can siege at the same time as Dragon. And I'm really loving the idea of this Cloud Drake sort of setting up the combo, making the Scion Engage being followed up better, and making Shen just a lot more able to flank. So Cloud Drake a real threat. We'll see if Quee's caught out in the mid lane.
Quee's in trouble, gets pulled back by the Apprehend after flashing away, but now has got the support. Flash in and Soul Shackles from Dorman as they look to try and catch on to as many as possible. Forcing the flash, forcing the heal out of Zandia, who's so low, uses the final hour to try and stay alive. Meanwhile, General Grievous gets caught by the Impale and obliterated. This is why you have to pay the Skarn attacks. LeBlanc finds a kill onto the center as well. Things are beautifully turned around by Esports Wales as they will be able to absolutely rout the opposition. Now underneath their very turret, the Undead General is deaded again, and the third dragon of the game will not go the way of the first 2. Instead, it will be taken over by the team that just found themselves a huge advantage. Put down Herald, get yet more pressure. What a turnaround from Esports Wales.
Just look at the absolutely massive damage that came in from Harry that fight, obliterating carries with 1 shot, having Clarky in the background. Zandiar even got away as well. Skarner was fantastic, laying down the Impale and taking Grievous out the way. Yelnats just surviving. And yeah, Esports Wales, that's where their threats lie. Harry and Clarky are their 2 big carries this game. They had Ace in the jungle and Zandiar in that last game. In Game 2, they've changed things around and they've got more players willing to dish out the damage. The Cloud Drake is almost an afterthought. The real impact is felt in the fight in the mid lane.
After what I saw in the last game, Crowden, I feel like we may have just witnessed the most crucial moment of this series. Despite there being a narrow goal lead that had gone over to Esports Wales, I honestly felt like OP Nerds were in a better place. I've given the reasons for it. The stacks on Senna, the extra CS and the tanky stats for Sion. Morgana just doing great stuff on this Morgana jungle pick, and General Grievous doing great on the Yasuo. But over-aggression after Quee gets caught and they try and turn things around comes back to bite them, as those carries that you have spoken about, Clarky, Josh, Harry on the Darius, on the LeBlanc, they come in and they rinse through the health bars, and my word, they decimate the opposition.
Okay, that's absolutely barbaric, but we go back to this at the moment. Dorman could have been under threat there. Yeah, we had Clarky Josh get the Stride Breaker, the mythic item, lunge towards Quee, just popped a few attacks on him, and in the process of an Apprehend, just managed to get a hemorrhage stack on him, got the 5 stacks, got the true damage bleed, and Quee just lost 40% of his health in the most innocuous trade ever, just even before Dormin became a threat. So if that can happen from Clarky, who is 2-0-2 with an absolutely massive farm advantage on his opponents, imagine what he's going to be doing when he gets into the middle of fights and bringing his Noxian Guillotine to bear. It's another thing to underline the stages of Esports Wales carries right now.
Will be pretty scary to deal with. Still, no Skarn attacks being paid. QSS still not apparent for anybody on the OP Nerds lineup. Crucially, we are seeing that Bramble Vest come in for the Scion, so there will be the opportunity to negate some of the healing, especially from this Darius. But I do have to say, I just think some of these carries, they need to be investing in QSS. We just see how easily people are getting caught out.
And yeah, when the most... Oh, I'm going to ignore that now. Here's Impale.
I mean, as if to prove my point, the ball gets completely caught out, takes so much damage. The Stand United comes in, but it may well have delivered Shen into the arms of their adversaries. Meanwhile, LeBlanc finds a solo kill onto Dormin, who was in a place they really had no right to be. And the Baron, having just spawned, may well be immediately under threat, much as we saw in Game 1 from Esports Wales.
And separately from that engagement in the mid lane, we saw Dormin being taken down by Harry, used both summoners, got the distortion to use as well, but finally took down that Morgana, who's been just absolutely annoying Harry all the game. So a win for Esports Wales on 2 fronts. It's going to set up a Baron, an unopposed Baron, an unthreatened Baron, and the lead just grows bigger and bigger. It's 3k at the moment, but it feels much bigger when you look at the fight and on the engages. It feels like it takes so much more from OPN to stop a fight going wrong than it does for Esports Wales Water to just go in and make the fight their own. That Impale is so strong. Grievous under attack.
Ace immediately finds the stun, forcing the flash out of Grievous. I'm just Harry goes in. Apprehend catches onto 2. General Grievous' health bar is obliterated. Now it's Quee's turn to be yet again under threat. They may be tanky, but they're not tanky enough. A Dark Binding's not even close enough to stop Clarky Josh in their tracks. Throwing down the secondary ultimate just to clear out the Undead General's undeadness.
And a lot of OPN managed to do damage to the Esports Wales Water lineup on the red side, but not enough. Everyone's sort of health is half or under. It doesn't matter. The target selection was great from Esports Wales Water. OPN really couldn't get anything on anyone. As soon as someone approached the backline, be it Kui, be it General Grievous, they got shut down, they got apprehended, they got CC'd, and they got taken down by the increasing burst of the Esports Wales waterline at 22 minutes. Gold lead is now up to 5.2k, and we've got another Drake coming in 1 minute. I don't think that will even be the main focus of Esports Wales Water. They're going to be looking to be a bit more of a killer instinct than they were in Game 1. I hope that they can go straight for sieges or kills with this lineup.
Dan, you called it in Game 1, certain issues with communications from both teams, but mostly from OP Nerds. It feels like that came to bite them once again there. The Baron was already gone. They knew this. However, some members of their team went, oh, okay, let's try and maybe rip away a few Baron buffs before the recalls come in. Other members of the team just weren't there. Crucial summoner spells and ultimates were not available. Whereas over on Esports Wales, they seemed to have found a way to stop some of their prior problems. They instantly turned on the crucial target. They eviscerate General Grievous, and then they all escape with the Baron buff intact.
Yeah, it's like Star Wars Episode 3 all over again. It's coming before my eyes. Although Episode 1 was better, feel free to argue with me in the Twitch chat. We've got the break coming up in 10 seconds. But it's going to be the standoff mode. A lot of really nice deep wards. A lot of advanced vision coming in. And Darius is in on Yasuo.
Yeah, General Grievous goes aggressive at just the wrong moment. Immediately caught by the Impale. In comes the Noxian Guillotine straight after as well. Now it's going to be a 5 versus 4 power play to add on top of the 5-man Baron buff power play. And it will be a second Cloud Dragon, further decreasing the potential cooldown on this Impale.
I'm loving the Darius as well, just absolutely adding another General Grievous to his collection. Could have pushed for the turret while the dragon was being taken. No, he's choosing to recall, and let's take a look at his item build now. Sterak's Gauge, Deadman's Plate, Stridebreaker. It's the Juggernaut Central. It's a Juggernaut sale at the local clothing store. He's just going to be annoying, but at the same time have capacity to deal absolutely tons of damage. And even if you can take down the Darius, you've got Zandiar's Vein, which we know from Game 1 was a massive threat, waiting in the wings. Clocky Josh taking all the firepower and apprehend.
Flash double apprehend. Clocky Josh having to escape as the Soul Shackles do come down, but look how quickly Qui's health bar gets ripped through. Kraken Slayer's now completed with a Vein. I'm Just Harry finishes off Navor. The Senna won't be able to put down any further healing in this fight. Big knockup comes in as General Grievous tries to get some damage. Does manage to find one on the Zypher. However, with the root connecting now to I'm Just Harry going golden, you've got to question whether they're going to be able to get out with their lives. The answer seems to be yes, as they take away Yelnats in the process. Beautiful play again from Esports Wales. They look like they've pushed a little too far, but they come back in convincing fashion. Harry
absolutely diving around that fight like a magician, and his final act was managing to out-mental Yelnats with that Zhonya's just being able to get out of the way of his taunt. Clocky managing things in the front, burning ultimates, including Dorman's at the right time. The Soul Shackle not too effective. And there we go, it's another turret, it's another bit of gold, 7k the lead. And Harry gutting away that blue buff from his opposing jungle. Ace is going to feel very vindicated for that one. Given the amount of blue buffs of his own he had lost to Dorman's Morgana.
Oh man, Ace got the MVP from you in Game 1, but it's going to be tough pushed to challenge Clarky Josh in this one. 5-0-5, a 700 gold bounty on the head of this Darius. This is the Darius from your nightmares that you face in solo queue every now and then that makes you wish you dodged in Champ Select.
And to think Ace actually set up for Clocky Josh at level 2. He was up there, and the only reason he didn't gank is because Yelnats was so far pushed back by Clocky Josh's threat. Yelnats played as safely as he could, but then when Ace appeared, Clocky Josh was already on the way to getting the lead. Ace still came back at level 5, came back at level 8, but Clocky Josh, he was done with the lane by then. He'd got a significant advantage. And we've seen him bring that to bear on the rest of the game in these intervening 26 minutes.
Hit me with the truth, Crowden. 7,000 gold advantage now over to Esports Wales. Is this game done?
In a word, yes. That obviously any game can be turned on its head if the perfect play happens. I don't see it happening. The damage lead is just too good. And even if we've seen Kui get off several 4-man knockups, which is almost the dream scenario. We've seen Dormin get off several 3-man Soul Shackles. It would take the perfect 5-man Wombo combo for OPN to immobilize their opponents for a few seconds. I'm not even convinced they would kill or win in a team fight in that situation. Such is the lead that's happening. The fact that Zandiar is... I'm not even going to let you commentate as Morgana's just blown up. The fact that Zandiar is the 4th biggest carry in this game behind Skarner is testament to the fact that the team is just so strong.
It's a valid point. To be perfectly honest, it's been a really convincing performance in both games from Esports Wales. Perhaps that perfect moment can come in. Maybe General Grievous lands the last breath that makes it Vane's final hour. But even if you take down the Vane in this one, who's, I should say, not really one of the key carries at this point, what else is going to happen? Interesting play coming through as we are going to see the instant rush of Baron, which has been started up. The recall will be cancelled. I'm Just Harry will quickly try and land the chains onto Kui, who immediately unstoppable onslaughts out. But this Baron is going down completely uncontested while pressure is being put down by I'm Just Harry and Clarky Josh on the bottom half of the map.
No fancy mind game tricks needed, or at least none in the top half. I really liked when Harry was stuck in the brush and Clarky just tried recalling out of the side of it. But we're going to see an engage top side.
Oh, Yalnat's able to flash away, but caught out by the Impale. This Skarner has been an absolute game changer in this game since securing First Blood. Now Dorman taking Silver Bolt, procs 4 days, tries to land a Dark Binding, it's not be enough. Dawning Shadow arrives too late to even find Shield. Kui will try and turn some attention back onto Ace, manages to find a knocker, but we do see that finally Navor is somewhat online, but still missing the Rage Blade to go alongside the Kraken Slayer, which means that so much of the damage is missing.
Look at who else online though. Zandiar is going absolutely ham on his opponents, getting that double, doing significant damage, healing up as well, and just with that mobility, able to dash around the opponent so much better than Grievous is able to do, given the CC disparity. And while this is happening, the other arm of Esports Wales, Water, is washing over their opponents, inhib turrets down, and who in their right mind would approach that Darius and that LeBlanc, just wailing away with the first inhibitor of the game going over to that red side.
No one in their right mind, which is why we do see Kui start to approach them. We do have another dragon being started up. This will be a third consecutive Cloud Dragon going over to Esports Wales. They are 12,000 gold to the good. They have taken away an inhibitor. They have made this second Baron power play work so very, very well. They are looking utterly dominant. I look forward to seeing their game next week. Dormin going to go golden, going to try and stay alive. I'm Just Harry is not going to be able to find himself the kill with the Ignite. One more tick! He is going to be able to find himself the kill with the Ignite despite the best efforts of the OP Nerds.
Oh, feels bad, man, for Navor. I think the heal was up as well. Like, that could have totally changed things. But we're going to move away from that awkwardness in case it hangs over OPN, because they need to focus right now. They're at risk of being eliminated from playoffs contention here in Div 2A. 0-2, the league leaders, a 5-0 record, are already through. Therapy Session are on the brink of getting through, and to have any chance of stopping that second seed, OP Nuds need to turn things around. It looks like the world is stacked against them. They've got big carries for Esports Wales, Water wailing down on them. Their base is evaporating, and they've got a composition which works well with utility. And if they're already ahead, but they're not, they're behind. They're 12,000 gold to the bad, to paraphrase you, and they seem to be in store for a big siege.
Siege is indeed coming. Winter, I think it's not just coming, but has been lasting eternally in this game since roughly the 15-minute mark, where we saw Esports Wales try to make this game theirs. They managed to find the catch on Dorman, who finds Soul Shackles, finds a multi-man route. Stand United will come in, preserving the life of the Morgana. In goes General Grievous, but with no Stand United available for him, he gets utterly eviscerated by the Noxian Guillotine. Clarky Josh stepping forward, finding hemorrhage onto multiple targets. Zanja, meanwhile, is clearing up everybody with the Silver Bolts proc. Another kill comes in, but I'm Just Harry, who's now 8, 1, and 7, trying to make it a little bit of a contest for the MVP of this series. But one thing is left without a doubt, and that is that Esports Wales will be victorious in this crucial matchup against OP Nerds. The first Nexus turret will fall. Kui goes in, he tries to do everything he can, but is removed from the game for the third time. The 3-3-3 scoreline is all that his reward will be for the bold efforts. The Nexus falls. Esports Wales Water are triumphant.
Absolutely fantastic performance. They closed it out a lot more convincingly than they did the first game, picking up those last 2 dragons, but it wasn't really about the dragons, Greyheart. That amazing early game performance, the dominance by Clarky Josh in the top lane, setting up with Ace, and just some great carry performances across the board, meant that you could pick out just several ways for Esports Wales Water to win any team fight. Indeed, in that lead up to that last victorious siege on the base, they had 2 arms, 2 in the top lane, 2 in the bot lane, and they weren't really contestable at any point. Well played. They turned a sort of even early game in which they were frustrated, losing blue buffs left, right, and centre, lost 2 dragons, into a situation where a Darius Axe ruled the world.
It did indeed. Cracking performance from Esports Wales. Commiserations to OP Nerds, especially to the lovely Rob Kui Cooper. And with that game now completed, what's next for us on this broadcast?
So this broadcast is going to be capped off with an interview, I believe. So we're going to have the captain when he's busy celebrating, when he's done celebrating with his squad. I think that's going to be Ace for Esports Wales Water. And Blaze is just sorting that out at the moment. We might be seeing Ace, we might be seeing one of his teammates. Either way, we'll get to chat with a member of the victorious Esports Wales lineup.
Cool, great stuff. Are we going to stick around for that interview, or do you need to hit a quick break first of all?
I believe we're going live, but we'll get some words from production shortly.
It looks like we might be able to speak to the Darius Madmen themselves. Clarky Josh will be the interview, and they are ready, so hopefully they'll be sent in any second now. Here they are. Welcome, Clarky Josh. Congratulations on your win.
Hello, hello. Thank you very much for having me.
And there it is. There's the Welsh accent. we can hear it. Congrats for your win. How are you feeling?
I'm in shock. Like, the team played so well, and it felt so good, and yeah, I'm just in shock.
Fantastic.
They really did play so well. I mean, this was a game I looked at coming into it, and things seemed very, very level between the two teams. They were level in terms of the actual division leaderboard and in terms of what we were kind of expecting both teams to do. But from round about the 10-minute mark on both games, as your jungler got first blood in both of those games with a good early impact, it seemed like you never put your foot on the brakes.
Yeah, no, like, as soon as we knew, like, we just handled our early game really, really well, like, because we like, the whole idea for us is just to, like, not make any silly mistakes. Usually that's my playing field, so I had to restrict myself so much. You saw that in first game, like, I nearly went for that trade with Poppy, I nearly killed myself, but yeah,
You did, yeah.
it was just one of those things where it took a lot of strength from me, from my team being like, down Clarky, down, like, and me making sure I'm doing anything. But yeah, the team's just literally doing so well because we just improved week in, week out. You've seen from like 0-2 that first game we played to now, it just feels like a massive improvement.
Magnificent.
Yeah, to back up what you were saying as well, guys, Clarky didn't actually die in either game, so 2-0-8 on the Cho'Gath,
Wow.
8-0-6 on the Darius, so absolutely deathless. He could have run that through as a human.
I can't believe it.
Fantastic play. The thing that I want to ask, should I call you Clarky or Josh? What do you prefer?
Clarky's great.
Yeah, let's go for it. So, Clarky, you were on the Cho'Gath that first game, and a lot of the focus was towards your bot lane. In game 2, we saw a switch where you picked a carry and Darius, and we saw Ace gank top lane twice before level 6. At what stage did you plan that? Did you do that in Champ Select, or was it just a case of, Ace, be on my side, I'm going to do this in the game?
Both, really. Because when I looked at the draft, I noticed they like to pick Shen and Sion. And I was like, I'm happy to play either Aatrox or Darius into both of those, because I can just keep the lane near to my tower, make it a long lane, and have a lot of ground to get back to their tower. You notice that a lot with the Shen. So I was literally abusing the fact that Shen has to like go so far up for the CS, or have his jungler try and bail him out, and it was literally a case of his jungler didn't bail him out, so Shen's stuck on an island, so I can just play with him as much as I want. There was points where I was like 60 CS above him, and it felt like really like crazy.
I know that you were sort of, obviously, you guys were the winning team at the end of the day, but I was really fascinated by the OP Nerds drafting game too, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Morgana jungle, the mix of Senna and Sion in the bot lane, throwing Shen obviously up there to throw you off the scent, going to top side in the end. What did you make of it, sort of looking at it as it unfolded?
It's a great draft. Like, I like the idea. Like, I've seen Senna Sion played by like G2, and I've seen it work. And yeah, it did throw us off a little bit, because I was kind of concerned during the laning phase, Shen's able to kind of slow down Darius's progression. But yeah, it was a great comp, because I know they have Morgana jungle in the back seat. We didn't really understand, like, we didn't really think that Sion would go bot lane, because the support Kui, he doesn't have a lot of time on Sion. But like, I looked at this when we were doing our drafting, like, there was so much time where we were like, he could play anything, so it kind of baffled us.
I know the last time I was casting Kui, I think he was a top laner back then, so certainly he's got a decent amount of experience in his past playing champions like that and CSing up, which he did a fairly good job of, to his credit. How have you looked much at the league in terms of what this means for your position now and what it means going into next week?
I have a general idea. I think, if I'm right in saying, we have to win next week and then we're in playoffs, which is a crazy feat.
Yeah, you've pretty much got it, Clarky. So
let's go.
It's not a tiebreaker between you and Therapy Session. It's just on game difference. So
wow.
if you win against Africa Freaks, who aren't doing too hot at the moment, then you'll be facing off against Division 2B's top team, which at the moment is looking like a real toss-up. But after all, it's semi-finals, so I guess that's going to be an important week for you guys ahead.
That is phenomenal to hear. Yeah.
Quick one, Clarky. We had Ace come into this Discord before the game and say that you wanted to shout out to the Esports Wales community and management. Is there anything that you'd like to say to either Esports Wales community or any of the fans who've been watching you guys on Twitch chat?
Yeah, literally, like the support coming from the Esports Wales community is being phenomenal. Like week in, week out, they're always like asking for our updates, you know, seeing us all work together, and always like it's nice to have such a nice group of people behind us, as well as the behind the scene team of Team 2, like especially Coach James is what he usually goes by. You'll see his name is Junior, and then also like just the work we put in week out. Like everybody plays their part really well. Ace is great at like making sure we're all keeping on task and whatever, and overall it's just great to see.
Congratulations again. That's great to hear about the teamwork. It sounds like your foundation for such successes that we've seen today certainly seems to have come right from the very base level, which is really awesome. It's awesome to hear when you've got good communities. Really love that. Anyone that you'd like to give a quick shout out to? Obviously, we're very grateful you joined us here at the end of the stream.
Yeah, massive shout out just to the rest of the players. They're all just phenomenal. Great team to work alongside. Like Ace is great at what he does. Harry, I mean, most of the time it's on Harry's back. Let's be honest, but but yeah, and Zan and Ben being like our bot lane, just making sure we're all on form. It's just phenomenal. Shout out to the boys.
Fantastic. You'll love to hear it. Now, so that was Clarky, the top laner for the victorious team tonight, Esports Wales there. We had them winning 2-0 against OP Nerds. They're going to set themselves up with only a win separating them from a semi-final playoff spot. So congratulations, Clarky. Congratulations, Esports Wales. And commiserations to OP Nerds. They've been around for a long time, so they'll bounce back stronger. My final word of tonight is going to be to my co-caster, Greyheart. It's been heavy nostalgia because of the amount of time it's been since I've casted with you. I'm hoping we lived up to the community expectations. It's just great to be alongside you on the desk, my dude.
I mean, I think they thought we were going to be terrible, and I think we managed to match it. So that's it's been great to be back here with you as always, Cradden, and hopefully we get to do this sometime again in the not too distant future. Thanks to everyone here at Valorant League for having me, and yeah, best of luck for the rest of the season, both to the cast, the production, and the teams.
In which case, we're going to head out. Have a good night, everyone.